Welcome to TFN, where we cut through the spin and deliver the raw truth. Today, we're diving into President Trump's whirlwind moves, halting trade talks with Canada and pushing Congress to pass his massive tax and spending bill by July 4th. Why the sudden trade cutoff? And can Congress meet Trump's ambitious deadline? Let's break it down with clips from the front line.
Oh, Canada. President Trump says the U.S. is ending trade talks with Canada, effective immediately. And he's also threatening new tariffs. He posted on social media a short time ago, "We will let Canada know the tariff that they will be paying to do business with the U.S. within the next 7-day period."
Just like that, Trump pulls the plug on Canada trade talks. But why? It's not just about dairy farmers or digital taxes. It's a strategic flex. Let's hear why this move has everyone scratching their heads, especially after Trump's recent trade wins.
He has for a long time been fixated on dairy farmers in Canada, and he thinks the Canadian government is protecting a relatively small number of dairy farmers in Canada by putting, tariffs and quotas on U.S. dairy going into Canada. And you can see why the Canadian government will protect Canadian dairy farmers, right? Because it's a much smaller country than the United States with a lot fewer people, and that's a really important political demographic.
So, dairy disputes and digital taxes are at the heart of Trump's frustration. But this move overshadows his push for a massive tax and spending bill, dubbed the Big Beautiful Bill. With a July 4th deadline looming, Trump's pressuring Congress to act fast. Here's the latest on that front.
Well, will the Big Beautiful Bill be a big, beautiful bust? President Trump is putting pressure on Congress now just ahead of a self-imposed July 4th deadline, even telling members to lock yourself in a room and take no vacation until it's done. But as senators work on changes to the House version of the bill, that July 4th deadline doesn't, seem to be much of one now.
It's important. It's not the end all. It can go longer, but we'd like to get it done by that time, if possible. And look, we have a lot of very committed people, and they feel very strongly about subjects that you're not even thinking about that are important to Republicans.
Trump's deadline is ambitious, but the Senate's rewriting key parts of the bill, especially on Medicaid and provider taxes, with Republicans like Rand Paul pushing back, citing a $2.8 trillion deficit spike. Can they pull it off? Here's the Senate's struggle.
Look, John Thune can afford to lose 3 Republicans. He only needs 51 votes to clear this out of the Senate. And there are notable Republicans who say they are just not going to vote yes on this. And Rand Paul is probably the top of that list because he says, among other things, it increases the deficit. The last estimate has the deficit increase at about $2.8 trillion, largely because of Trump's tax cuts. Also, he has an issue with the debt ceiling addition into all of this. President Trump has called him and the other Republicans who would vote against this, quote unquote, grandstanders. Here is what the senator said to that. The president has said that those like you who are against the bill in his own party are grandstanders, is the word he used. Are you a grandstander?
I would use the word conservative, fiscally conservative. People have been saying the same thing. I say the same thing whether it's a Republican president or a Democrat president. And really both parties are to blame for this.
The clock's ticking, and the House isn't thrilled about the Senate's changes either. With a razor-thin majority, passing this bill again could be a nightmare. Will Trump's vision become reality, or is it a big, beautiful bust?
Yes.
And remember here, Kira, ultimately, if and when this gets out of the Senate, Mike Johnson has got to pass it again through a razor-thin House. And we saw the drama in that chamber when they had to get this legislation out of the House the first time. And Johnson would, in theory, be under the gun because if this does get to the House by early next week, again, he's got to pass it by Friday. And that July 4th deadline to correspond with what the president says he wants.
That's the story. Trump's trade tantrum with Canada and his relentless push for the Big Beautiful Bill are shaking things up. Will Congress deliver by July 4th, or will internal GOP rifts derail it? Stay tuned to TFN for the truth behind the headlines. Smash that like button and subscribe for more no-spin updates.